Mix Monday! What's up? It's Mix Monday! Mix Monday! Waiting for people to get in here. Mix Monday! I need to drink some water. Mix Monday! Mix Monday! Mix Monday! Yes, some delicious water. Let's see if the regulars are all here yet. There we go. It's just you, I guess, bro. I don't know, man. I just started. That's why I always wait a minute so people can get in here and see what's going on, because it's Mix Monday, and you don't want to miss Mix Monday. But I was like a minute late starting today, so it's kind of my fault, isn't it? There's a phallic more. We got the usuals. All right, so this week on Mix Monday from India. You're watching from fucking India? What time is it there? Oh, I got to stop doing that. I'm not going to get kicked off this week. What time is it in India? I don't think anybody has ever watched from India before. This is exciting. All right. 5:32 in the morning. How is it? You're in a half time zone. That's wild. All right. So this week, all right, here's the dilemma, right? We have a song that I've already mixed and I thought was done until I started referencing some things that I thought it was like contemporary with or compatible with, let's say. And I found myself second guessing a few of my decisions. So I mixed this. I was happy with it. I thought it was rocking. And then I was starting to be like, actually, like, if I'm going to go to, like, some Andy Wallace mixes, like Andy Wallace Nirvana mixes or whatever. So, yeah, I did tweak the mix. I did a different thing than what I was doing. So, I came and I spent some time really thinking about, Nirvana mixes and Smashing Pumpkin mixes and how loud in the choruses of Smashing Pumpkin songs, the guitars are louder than the vocals. They're fucking so loud. It's actually like you'll find in a lot of Smashing Pumpkins songs, the drums are more mono than like most drums are. They're very tight mono, right? And just a little bit of an element of stereo to them. It like fills and shit. You feel them panned out, but everything else seems very tight and very like centered, right? And then the guitars panned out wide on either side. Fucking 7,000 dB just smashing you in your fucking ears every time you're listening. Like the loudest guitars in Bullet with Butterfly Wings. It's like insane when it gets to the chorus how much louder the guitars are. But you know what? You still think, whenever you think in your head about those songs, those verses are still kind of just the drums are fucking so loud in those things, the toms specifically, they're just so cracky and they punch through. And that's a composition thing as much as it is a mix thing, right? But specifically, that was something I was trying to aim for, was to get closer to that. And I also, I have this conversation a lot of times about the low end of music from the 90s. Like, we did not quite yet like have the respect for the low end that we have now. Like, we're really big. Like, lots of people have stereos that are better or good enough to like get some real low end, like in the 90s, most people still had, what was equivalent to like the NS10 of like home speakers, like a paper speaker radio. Like, they didn't have these like cool high performance shit that they have now. Now, some would say that stuff was better or whatever, but regardless, right? The point is that I wanted to kind of meet somewhere between where I was at, which was this. This is where I was at with this song. I'll play this. you'll notice my drums went way back in the mix on these choruses, right? They're actually even rocking more in the verses than they were before.
The flames blue, steaming through the gaudy smoke too high.
I mean, the low end in comparison to where I'm at now is like completely different, and that was that was to mimic more of the sound of the 90s. Like it's some of these like decisions. I think this is really important, right? There can be something that I think is good that I don't think is right. Like I think that this other mix, to me, I like it more, and I'm fine with saying that, right? Because I'm making a choice to mix these more retro sounding, and more retro sounding means not having nearly as much low end, especially on that kick drum. Like listen to the difference in the kick drum. This is the old mix, and I'll switch over halfway through. The low end of the kicks and the drums themselves are so far back in comparison to where I had them before in the choruses. And I realized, like, you know, I like that and I think it's awesome, but in reality, it's probably not right for the song. Like a mix with less of that is going to translate so much better overall than a mix with like a pounding low end. And also too, it gives me space to go later with the rest of the songs on this album that I need to still mix. So I thought I would just do the same thing, though, that I did the last time I went through this, is because I basically, when I attacked this from the very start of the song again. Like I went back and I rethought everything, sort of, and I, at the very least, I pulled the fader down and took everything out, and I did my selective unmuting mix, which is how I pretty much always like mix things. And the selective unmuting thing is where I start with basically just drums and bass opened up. And I checked on my phase on my drums again, and I just made sure that, I mean, you can hear that those drums are rocking, right? They got But one thing that I did whenever I got to this point was I realized that as cool as this bathroom mic is, it is getting in the way heavily of my guitars, the high end of my guitars. So when I get to the choruses in this song, I am pulling the bathroom mic back significantly. Now, the cool thing about that is you don't even notice that in the whole mix, because it's like it's so loud right here. It comes back a ton. If you just hear the drums, you'll hear how loud it is. Listen to how much the snare, listen for the snare specifically, how much it suddenly dries up whenever we get into the verses, or the choruses, I mean. Hear how much of a difference that makes? It's like, soloed up, it sounds like a ton. But once you even put the bass in, you already stop noticing it as much, right? And this is something that's like really, there is a crush mic. It's my mono, essentially. It's this guy. It's not the same. I'm doing the ribbon thing right now. But I'm treating it kind of the same way where I'm pounding it like this. I think some people have noticed recently that I stopped using the floor mic that I used a lot. The floor mic, there's a good reason for it. Recently, I've been doing a lot of big drums like this. Like you can hear, these are monster drums. This is some modern day John Bonham, like better than John Bonham's sound, because let's be real, like the John Bonham, you can barely hear the kick at all most of the time. It's like, this is like John Bonham if John Bonham had like modern technology. And the floor mic doesn't play well with the bathroom mic. Like, listen to how smashed this is, or how it, not just smashed, it is smashed as well. I mean, I guess it's not smashed. It's like minus 6 dB of compression or whatever. But it's so gritty and so dirty. Yes, it's Pro Tools. Again, I don't. The question over here, what is my snare peaking at? I don't know, and I don't care. I never think about that. That is not a thing that matters. How loud you record on a meter means nothing in comparison to how loud it sounds as a whole. What I'm looking for is my drums to have the right like balance across all of them, right? It's like if my snare if he hits harder, like I want my snare down a little bit or whatever. And it's like it's not just gonna be like the right tone for the whole thing, but it's gonna set you in the right mood for all of the drums themselves. So I don't ever really pay attention to what my snare peaks at. It's clipping is what it is. Here. It's fucking clipping is what it is. I don't give a shit. That's not the point, right? The point is it sounds way forward in the mix. And honestly, love the sound of digital clipping. I'm not gonna lie. People think that's I do kind of like the sound of digital clipping on certain things. Certain things, clipping on the inputs on the fucking... It's not clipping, like the clipping digital gear and clipping analog gear are completely different, but there's a sound to clipping analog gear. I'll prove it someday. I'm gonna fucking make a TikTok about this eventually. There is a sound to clipping analog gear, and I don't give a shit what anybody says. Sometimes that sound is really fucking cool. When used properly, clipping digital gear sounds amazing. Sometimes I do my Moog whenever I'm doing like a dark synth sound and shit. I'll do my Moog just slamming the inputs of my Apollo, and it sounds so good. It's like it almost sounds like the only way that it sounds right, you know? All right. So anyway, back to this part. I got this big drum sound here, and then I take it away. The difference here is whenever these guitars come in, when this big reverb snare and room sound goes away, these guitars have space to breathe now. And it just made a whole difference in the way that my chorus comes together. I didn't have them open. I was lying. There it is. And notice now that these guitars are in, you do not even hear the room change, right? So you just made a big mix move that, yeah, everything pops way more. You should hear it with, I mean, I'll undo this real quick. If this was not here, let's say it was there, right? You'll hear it takes so much more space when it still sits there. Versus... it makes like a whole difference in how much of the guitars you can actually hear and how much space it makes for everything. And I mean, I love that. I think it's so important to sonically sculpt things. Sometimes it's not EQ. Like, people spend so much time with EQ. People spend so much time with like compression, trying to sort. Sometimes like volume, it's just the whole thing you needed to do. You just needed to turn something down in your mix, and now everything else has space. And are you going to notice it? Probably not. Now, if I compare it to what I had going on before, this is the mix I had before. It's fine or whatever, but the difference to me is how much more the guitars drive it, and that's what we're looking for. That's the Smashing Pumpkins thing. That's the Nirvana thing. The guitars are so far forward. Sometimes they're farther forward than the vocal, you know? You hear so much more guitar whenever I switch that back out. It's like a completely different sound altogether. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish with that. Question over here is, what's on the drum bus? Just SSL bus compressor? No, actually, I have a lot more stuff on the drum bus than normal. I'm doing a little bit more. I mean, I'm processing these drums to sound this way. I want these big, fucking loud ass drums, but also I want them to smack. I have this new keyboard that has a weird function button somewhere, and it does that for some reason. If I could figure out how to make that not happen anymore, I would really, really love this. It's so fucking dumb. All right, so for the drums, all right, I got a 1073 doing just a bit of like 220 and a bit of 1.6. I got a G bus, and then I have a Pro Q3, and I'm just doing a little bit of mid-side EQing in here, and we'll go through. Let's just listen to that real quick. Here's what it sounds like without any of that stuff. Yeah, I know I can change my keyboard preferences, shortcuts and preferences. What I was doing a not so subtle hint for Ike over here in the corner, so that he fixes that later. So that I don't have to fucking do that. It's so annoying, dude. You know how fucking annoying it is to like go dig through some preferences for some bullshit. Anyway, all right. So drums. That's the 1073. Here's the G bus, taking it on and off. Now, I'm only getting a couple dB of compression here, but the big thing is, listen to how much the room comes out. And this is what I'm looking for with this compressor. I'm smashing all of these sounds, right? I am doing compression for a purpose. This is something that I think that people have lost their fucking minds about recently, where it's just like everybody just puts compression on a track. And I guarantee 90% of the time when you're doing that, you're putting it on a track and you're just making it louder. You're not listening to the effects of the compression. And in this case, the effects of the compression are, listen to how much the room comes out, the room sound, which is that shit that's tucked underneath and in these spaces where the decay is from the transient, right? That's where you're going to hear it. And I'm using the speed of this compressor, you know, the attack and release of this compressor, to accentuate the damn tail of the reverb. And listen to how much it sticks out when I put this on and off. This is the thing, like, I think so many people, like, we're just stuck in this mentality of just bad practices. Like, you know, we're putting compression and we're putting EQ on everything, and everything has to have a flavor, and everything has to have like 9 plugins in on. I don't know what all these fucking plugins are for. I have no idea. If you look at any single one of my fucking mixes, you will find look, this is a finished song. The most I have on anything is on a vocal bus, and I have some flavor on there. It's mostly flavor, right? And that's it. Every other bus is pretty chill. Even my master bus is pretty thin. I have no idea what people are doing with all these plugins, Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like it's not like I'm trying to say that you can't use any plugins, right? Or that like you should just like I do think you should get it right at the source. All right, so that is actually something I believe. And if you master getting it right at the source, you don't have to do really as much mixing. Which I mean, you'll see. Look at these drums, man. Like most of these drums, the plugins on these drums that you see here, I'd say most of them are EQs that are just doing a phase thing. Like I'm not even using it on that one, so that's useless. That's doing a phase flip. That's doing a phase flip. On the toms, all I have is a phase flip and a gate. That's it. Nothing else. On the overs, all I have is an ATR 102. Rooms, just some EQ. A DBX 160 and a phase flip on the bathroom. Nothing else. There's nothing else on these drums. And then 3 plugins on the drum bus. And that's it, right? And that is, to me, like that's all you need. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to put texture on everything. You don't have to saturate everything. I saturate a lot, but just do it the right places and for the right reasons. I think everybody like kind of gets into like it's just the preset mode, right? Where you're like, oh, I'm just gonna like start putting presets on shit. And it's like, you're not helping yourself probably. All right, so drums, bass has nothing going on it for sure. I have a B15 on it. I played this bass. I played this guitar. Just a B15 for a sound of an amp. I wanted it to sound like a real amp. And then a decapitator to give it that nasty cut through. The bass, almost always you'll find I've got a decapitator on bass. It's just you don't hear the upper harmonics of bass, so you always have to put something that's going to accentuate that and dirty it up a little bit. And you won't even notice really the difference between having a dirt on your bass and not having some dirt on your bass until you like can hear the notes, right? Before it's just a feel, but then once you start saturating that top end, it becomes the notes you can hear. It just brings it all out. And then I've got an LA2 on there just to clean up some of my shitty playing. Parallel saturation for drums is the question over here. I use parallel saturation. I'll circle back to that right after this. So I got these. And that decapitator is going to help that bass stick out a little bit as well with the guitar being there. The guitar's really kind of clouding that up, so it gives them that a little bit. All right, so the parallel saturation on here, I literally just have the kick and snare mics going to it. And it's really not doing a lot. I prefer to do parallel saturation. I think parallel saturation sounds better than parallel compression. Parallel compression to me, I'm already doing parallel compression in here. All right, here's the lesson, right? I don't do parallel compression on my drums because when you're doing parallel compression, right, all you're doing is taking another identical signal of all of the things that you're using and compressing it, right? And when you're doing that, you're really just making that signal itself louder. I think that the texture is much nicer, right? Whenever you're doing something like this. Like this is my parallel saturation is a mono kit mic, right? It's doing the same thing as your parallel saturation, but it's a different harmonics texture, right? Because it's not just the same mics that you're using a different thing. So if you use like a kit mic like this and then you compress the shit out of it, it's basically like doing parallel saturation or parallel compression, but with a not just the same sound. You're doing harmonic textures, right? It's just a different way of looking at it, right? So so whenever I do my parallel saturation, now I'm doing another layer of texture rather than just the same sound again. So this is what I'm bussing. I'm bussing it off of the snare, and I'm not doing a lot. Here's the kick and the snare. That's muted. Unmuted, unmuted. It's just bringing it forward a little bit. I've got this Culture Vulture on here, you can see. I'm not even driving very hard. Normally I'm up at like 4 or 5 doing like parallel saturation. I'm just giving it a little bit more thump. And again, it's because I came back from having like the drums way forward. And this was one of the things that took that way, way back and took them way out of like your face in the choruses. Yeah, that's the thing. Again, it does sound like enough with what I'm doing, you know, and like that's the thing. You gotta like, you make the decisions for every single song. That's why I hate when people are like, this is the mix tip for how to do this. Like every song and every artist and every vibe has its own techniques to make it work the right way, to be the best like vibe for how you're doing things. I'm never gonna just like cut and paste settings from one song to another. It's why I charge money to mix, is because I'm not just copy and pasting, right? My assistant is not just doing 90% of the work and then me walking in and doing the last 10%. I'm literally treating every song as its own independent art piece, and that's why they sound so fucking good when I'm done. All right, so I got these guitars. I'm not doing much on guitars either. I'm just cutting off low end on the tracks themselves, and then I'm bussing them, where I'm doing a little bit of SSL, that 8K up here. That looks like all I'm doing. Oh, and I am compressing it with the SSL, but looks like not really at all. Looks like I'm barely doing it. Yeah. I know you're fucking with me when you say stuff like that, and it's fine. But, like, there's a part of me that knows, like, people literally say stuff like this in my comments being serious all the time, and it drives me insane. He says downward expansion and soothe and winder. I don't know what winder is, but probably some other dog shit fucking plugin, or how to get big drums. And I get, you did it. If I had my rant button, my Stream Deck's not working right now, but if I had my rant button, it'd be fucking greasy rant. Because, god damn it, dude, I fucking hate people using all that shit and thinking they're getting better results. It's like, how am I with 6 different plugins total on the entire session getting better sounds than people who are mixing with like 20 plugins? 'Cause you're doing fucking too much. You're fucking, Widener. Oh, okay. Yeah. We should throw some Wideners on these drums, man. These drums aren't wide enough. Fucking stupid as shit. Every time I hear that shit, I just want to like... Wideners are the worst thing, man. They ruin music, and I hate the way they sound. I can't believe people put them out. I just heard something again. Is he drinking again? No, I'm drinking water. I'm drinking some Monster. Monster does be giving me some, energy. I feel like a crackhead when I drink a Monster now that I'm sober-ish. I'm sober-ish. I'm California sober. I'm greasy sober is what I am. I drank a glass of whiskey last night by myself because I was home alone, but, I just choked on my water. Fuck. All right, I'm back. Back in the game. All right, so this guitar I got the SSL on. Then I got an 1176 on here. Let's see what that's doing. 7 dB of compression. Why, oh why? 7 dB of compression. 7 dB, that's so much compression for me. Hey man, you gotta treat it right. This is 90s guitar rock. Now, if you listen to the way my original mix, again, now this is I did this new mix because I'm trying to fix what I was doing with the old mix. And the things that I was doing with the old mix was making me happy. Making me happy, oh man, yeah, I feel great, but me is not the world, you know? And I can't just mix to make myself happy. I have to mix to make the world happy. And so, in this original mix, I wanted these guitars to be way fucking louder than the drums. So I pulled the drums back and I put those guitars forward. Listen to how the difference comes out.